Alright. This is our second episode of the Creepy Villain MMA show. Woot. We're going to start off with my kid flashing on the computer. That's fantastic. So, we're going to start off with the big review of last week's matches, which was main event Rampage Jackson versus Matt the Hammer Hamill, which I called wrong. I figured Hamill would win, but he did not.
My boy, Rampage.
He is way sucky. It was kind of a boring match, and I thought Rampage should have done more, and did not do it.
He fractured his hand.
Garbage. And then Frank Mir beat Roy Nelson. And
awesome fight.
I thought it was an okay fight, to be honest with you. It got criticized a lot. But
not so much by Dana White.
Roy Nelson proved that fat guys need cardio, and he should slim down and go to a lighter weight class. Roy Nelson.
Dolce diet.
Yes, and if you don't do it soon, you're going to get cut. If you don't get cut now.
Yeah.
Rick the Horror Story upsetted Thiago Alves in a pretty good fight. Rick Story just showed that he was more aggressive and wanted it more. If you see me get up and leave, it's because I have to go get my kid. Was another big fight.
You got Santiago versus Brian Stan, which was a huge fight over for Brian Stan. It was a good fight for him and really boosted his overall rating.
Yes, and I thought Brian Stan, I was kind of thinking down on him before the fight. He showed much improved skills, and he's up there in my book now. He showed a lot of good skill in that fight.
And the biggest one of them all, Stephen Struve versus Travis Brownie.
Finally, I got to see the big knockout of the night of the skyscraper Stephen Struve going down. Sorry, I'm looking that way too much, but I'm babysitting, so I got to be there for watching the kids. I hate Stephen Struve, and I hope he gets cut soon.
Yeah, if you didn't see the knockout, go watch it. And watch his little knee pop thing.
I'd like to see him go against Matt Mitrione next. Stephen Struve versus Matt Mitrione. I'd like to watch Mitrione kick his ass. I'm a Milwaukee boy.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys know this, but me and Mitrione are pretty much best friends. Look at my Facebook picture.
And up next, we got the news and the big announcement for October 29th, UFC 137. You got GSP, one of the top pound for pound MMA fighters.
Versus, pound for pound. He is pound for pound the best fighter.
Yeah, he is the best fighter. Fighting a slugger, Strikeforce welterweight champ, Nick Diaz.
Nick Diaz is an awesome fighter. Personality-wise, I don't really like him so much. He's kind of got a
cocky.
Yeah, but I love his fighting style. He always brings the fight. And not only does he bring the fight, but he beats the person in their own game. If you're a ground fighter, he beats you on the ground. If you're a stand-up fighter like Paul Daly, he'll beat you standing up. I love it. It should be an exciting fight, and I think Diaz is going to make GSP look really good. I think he's going to bring out the best in GSP because he's going to press the action. Yes. Also, huge news is tickets for UFC versus 5 going sale June 11th.
In Milwaukee.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to buy us tickets so we can do a show out there, that'd be fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Do some interviews, who knows.
The main event, you got Chris Ladle versus Dan the Outlaw Haughty.
But now we're gonna affliction, and we're gonna do our predictions for this week on for this week's Ultimate Fighter finale. Ultimate Fighter 13, ain't it?
Yep.
All right, so
our boy.
You go ahead and do it.
Main event, we got our boy Clay the Carpenter Guida. We both met him. We have a shitload of autographs, and he's fighting WC lightweight champ Anthony Pettis. Guida has wins over Gomi, McDendig, Rafael Dos Anjos, Nate Diaz, and Shannon Unity. And Pettis has wins over Ben Henderson, Shane Lawler, and Danny Castillo.
Of course, everybody's seen Pettis' walk off the cage kick on Ben Henderson's face, which is fantastic. This is where all of his publicity is really coming from. He's a fantastic fighter.
He's from Milwaukee,
but Guida's from John's big boy, and that's my call. Guida's gonna win.
Guida, he's a fucking man. He's a juggernaut. He comes right after dudes and will not He keeps coming after guys, and he's a takedown artist. He neutralizes submissions, and I'm gonna have to go with my boy Clay Guida over Wisconsin dude. And in the co-main event, Ultimate Fighter finale, you have Ramsey Ninjum versus Tony Ferguson, and that fight is actually really interesting. You basically have the grappler versus the stand-up, and I'm gonna have to go with Stripper Namsey.
Stripper Namsey? It's Ramsey.
Same thing. I'm gonna have to go with him due to superior takedowns and submissions.
I'm going to go with Stripper Ramsey as well because his clinch game, he really presses people down. He's got great. Yeah. What?
Grandma's calling me.
All right. That's part of the show now. But I think it's going to be a fantastic fight, and I think his control will wind up beating Ferguson's outstanding stand-up.
And then, in the other boring fights, you have Kyle Kingsbury versus Fabio
Maldonado.
Yes. Kingsbury has 3 straight wins in the UFC. I'm going to have to go with him due to wrestling.
I'm going to go with Maldonado just so I'm not agreeing with him, and I don't really like Kyle Kingsbury that much. I don't think he's okay, but I don't think he's great.
Yeah. And then you have Ed Herman versus Tim Crater. Both of these guys haven't fought since 2009. Crater has wins over Nick Catone, and he had an awesome fight against Nate Corey, which was one of his best fights. And then Ed Herman has wins over David Loazo, Joe Dorkson, and Scott Hands of Steel Smith.
I'm going with Ed Herman. I don't really like either of them, to be honest with you. I think Ed Herman's overrated. I think Tim Crater is, I don't know, he seems slow to me. But yeah, we'll see.
I'm going to have to go with Tim Crater on grappling.
You do Cope versus...
No. Other Ultimate Fighter fight, you have Chris Cope versus Chuck O'Neal. And I'm going to have to go with my boy, Chuck O'Neal. Didn't pull it out last week, but this week he's going to pull it out over Chris Cope.
I think Chris Cope is pretty deep solid. He looked okay the first 2 fights first 2 rounds against Ferguson. He looked okay the first round, I should say.
Yeah.
And then he looked like he kind of started to tire out, and I think he's going to be better than Chuck O'Neal.
And for the prelims, actually, there's some good fights on the prelims.
Yeah,
card.
I don't get the prelims. To me, there's like 3 or 4 fights on the prelims that I think.
A lot of ranked guys. Yeah. You got Jeremy Stevens versus Milwaukee boy Danny Downs. Stevens has huge wins over Dos Anjos, Marcus Davis, which was a huge knockout, Sam Stout, and Cole Miller. What the hell? What the hell? Well, you have... I'm going to have to go with Jeremy Stevens via striking. Better striking overall.
Yeah, Stevens is going to press the action. He never tires, so I'm going with that for that alone. Sometimes when you get somebody with that much pressure, as Rick the Horror Story just showing Thiago Alves, it can be difficult to deal with, and I think that's going to be the outcome of the fight.
Yep, and then you have top 10 featherweight Josh Fritzy versus former lightweight, now featherweight George Roop. Josh Frisbee has a win over Mark Hominick and Jens Pulver, but who doesn't? And George Roop has a draw over Leonard Garcia and a huge head kick over Chen Chung Jung. And I'm going to have to go with Josh Frisbee via unanimous decision.
Yeah, this one's kind of a toss-up for me. I like, they're both okay fighters. I'm probably going to go with Grisby as well.
And then you have Ultimate Fighter guy Shamar Bailey versus Ryan McGaverty. Going with Shamar via wrestling, lay and pray.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the wrestler. I don't really know either of those guys too well.
You have Clay Elverson versus Justin Edwards. Don't know Justin Edwards, but Clay Elverson was a guy with a pinky problem. You can see his bone. Pinky.
Yeah, that was gross. That was really gross.
And I'm just picking him because that was kind of cool.
Yeah, he showed me some tough mistakes. He finished the freaking fight with that really disgusting dislocation, so I'm taking him too.
And then you have Scott Jorgensen, number 3 ranked bantamweight.
Why the hell is this fight on the freaking prelims? This is an outstanding fight.
Yep.
Scott Jorgensen's fights are just outstanding.
Ken Stone has one fight in the WEC where he got slammed by Eddie Wineland. And Scott Jorgensen has wins over Brad Pickett, Tagaya Mizugaki, and Antonio Banuelos. And I'm gonna have to go with Scott Jorgensen via TKO, first or second round.
Yeah, Jorgensen is another one of those guys that's like Jeremy Little Heathen Stevens. The guy comes to fight every time, never tired. He's a great fighter. I think it's going to be a first or second round stoppage, TKO.
Yeah, and that's your Ultimate Fighter finale fight card. And right now, we are going to Affliction. We are going to pick our overrated and underrated fighters.
We're going to do Affliction. I thought Affliction was going to let you tap out there.
Well, anyways.
A new segment called Affliction.
Okay. For our underrated fighters, I have my top 5 guys are Rory McDonald, Edson Barbosa, Nick Lenz, and Chad Mendes.
Chad Money Mendes is pretty good. I'm not really too sure if he's super overrated or underrated, but my main guy is, even though he's coming off a big win and he's going to get a lot more publicity now, but is Phil Davis. He's fantastic. His wrestling is so underrated. His stand-up's getting better. I think he's going to beat Rashad, to be honest with you. I think once he gets one of those heavy hands on Rashad's face, Rashad's going to go down. I think Phil Davis is one really, really underrated fighter. For me, it's a little bit harder to find underrated fighters, but another one that I kind of think a little bit is my man Brian Stan. He's starting to get his publicity now, but I was a big guy that was saying that he was just no good and garbage and just stand up. He proved me wrong this weekend. I think he's
different. Good. And now for the overrated, we got a bunch. And our first guys that came to mind was the Nogueras.
Both of our very first 2 guys that we have, and they're both the Knock brothers. These guys I like them. I like what they did for the sport, but they're slow. I think they get way more credit than what they deserve.
Yeah.
One time Big Nog looks any good as when if he goes against somebody like Randy Couture, who's also slow.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he looks like complete crap against everybody.
Cain Velasquez.
Yes. Freaking Mir.
Yeah.
Mir doesn't look that fast. He just fought Roy Nelson, and man, Mir looked like a lightweight compared to freaking Nog.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
Yep, and Little Nog freaking got destroyed via wrestlers by Ryan Bader and Phil Davis.
This guy game,
and he should have lost to Jason Brill.
Yes, he came with just a bunch of hype, and maybe he is that awesome, and who knows? But every fight that I see him in sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, he just gets destroyed. He should have lost to Burrows.
Mm-hmm. Some of my other overrated guys, I have Michael Dudcount visiting. I have Dan Hardy, Matt Mitrione, and Matt Sauerel.
Matt Mitrione.
Yeah.
Matt Mitrione is awesome. Don't listen to him, Matt. I have my overrated fighters. I have Dan Hardy on there as well. Chris Lights Out Lytle, I think he's way overrated. I think he's just, all he does is swing. That's it. And then, to be honest with you, I think Rampage Jackson. I think he's a good fighter, but for the amount of hype that he gets, and to only just have stand-up, not even stand-up. He doesn't have leg kicks. He doesn't have anything. He's just got heavy hands. That's it. I don't know. I do like him, but I just think he gets way more credit than he's deserved.
Yep. I also have Crow Cop in there, but whatever. And Stefan the Skyscraper.
Yeah, he's not going to be overrated anymore.
Yeah.
I think Travis Brown put a freaking end to that. Oh, that was awesome. It looked like he freaking hurt his knee, and it went backwards. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
One of the few times I actually root for someone to get hurt. I don't even know why I don't like the guy. Probably because he's called Beanpole. But all right, that's it for the MMA, the Creepy Villain MMA show.
Check out the free fights this weekend. Ultimate Fighter finale. It's on Saturday.
Check out our Facebook page.
Yeah.
The Creepy Villain MMA show.
What? And we only had 13 views last weekend. Let's get a little more than that.
And some comments. Keep them MMA related. I don't want to hear about how handsome I am. I know that, all right? What?